Recording.
All right, and we're starting the webinar. All right, and people are already starting to log on. Just give it a few more moments, and then I will start our introduction.
Okay.
All right, well, welcome everybody to our Christmas tree decorating demonstration. My name is Danny Kapp. I'm one of the marketing people here and events people here. For the people that have been regular attendees, Sally, who does our normal hosting, she is on vacation right now, so I'm filling in for her. Today we have Whitney Sproul. I almost said your maiden name, Warher Sproul, but Whitney Sproul here to show us our tree decorating. She is one of our designers out at our Gainesville location and has been with us full-time now for about 8 years. So just some house cleaning things for everybody, for people that have seen these before or have not. This is a Zoom webinar, which is a little bit different than a Zoom meeting. So we can't see you or hear you, but you can of course see us and hear us. If you have any questions, you can type in questions in the Q&A box or the chat function. I'll be checking both of those. Whitney is going to be asking for questions at certain times. So I won't be interjecting with questions until she has lets me know that she's ready for some. And let's see, I think we are recording. I don't know if I said that before already, but we are recording. And if you guys want to see that recording, we can always send it to, I think we do send it to, Sally sends it out nowadays. But if you did not get that recording in a couple days, then feel free to send us an email, either to Sally's email, which is sburrows@mgcmail.com, or you can also go through the contact us form on our website, which is www.merrifieldgardencenter.com. I think that is about it for the housekeeping beginning. So without any further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Whitney. So Whitney, you're on.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Whitney Sproul. I work out at our Gainesville store, and I'll be showing you guys how I like to decorate a Christmas tree the Merrifield way. So what I have here are two of the exact same artificial Christmas trees. They're each 4.5 feet tall. It's a balsam fir. I chose a smaller tree this year because for sake of keeping time, trying to make this not go on for too long, but in hopes that the things that I do with this smaller tree, you guys can do the same thing with a larger tree. You just need more items and just might need to space them out just a little differently. So these are going to be some foundations for you guys to work off of when you go home and decorate your own tree. So I'm actually going to briefly explain this guy here. This is my already fully decorated 4.5 foot artificial Christmas tree. It is pre-lit with white lights. And I kind of went for kind of a funky, Williamsburg colonial vibe. Just, I want to do something a little different than the norm. So I have this beautiful white and blue Delft print, like 4-inch ribbon. And then I paired it with this really fun, almost a tartan style plaid. Sometimes you'll see things like that mixed together, but I thought the bright, almost primary color tones were really vibrant. And I thought they'd show up on the screen for you guys really nicely so you can see. So as you can see, the tree is pretty chock full. I used a lot of different floral stems in it, as well as some beautiful ornaments. And I'll kind of show you guys a little bit more of that throughout this talk. So you'll get some more details, but I wanted you to see the finished product first so that you could see then how we broke it down and built it from the ground up. So this is the look we're going to be working with today, but I did come up with 3 other general looks and color schemes, kind of like a vision board for you guys, just to kind of get the creative juices flowing. But I'll show you guys later after we do this beauty. So yeah, I'll kind of go over the things that I'm using. I'll just show you one of each. I have this wonderful pick here. It's all artificial stuff. It's got some berries, it's got some orange peels, it's got some evergreen, but I just love this rich orange color. It's not your typical Christmas color, you know, red and green, but I just love that richness, and that's very colonial kind of look, you know, the fruit look. Then I also paired it with a beautiful red tulip bunch. So we already sell these bunched up like this. I just think it's a beautiful pop of color. It's great if you're a gardener, you know. So you always want to incorporate some flowers, some nature into your tree, and I just love doing that. So I paired those two together. Then another thing I paired together is this beautiful little red berry. It's actually weather resistant, so if you were to do something outside with something like this, it would hold up in the weather really nicely. So I paired this with this wonderful little rose bouquet that has some orange and a little kind of dusty rose color as well. So I did some serious color in this tree, and I think it's really fun. It's different, it's vibrant, it's happy. So what I did here is I kind of mixed the berry with the rose stem, and I did the same thing with the other guy. And then another stem that I have tucked in here is a really bright hydrangea. And I kind of stuffed it further in the tree so that one, it would fill up some big holes, but also kind of brings your eye into the tree. So those are the ingredients we're working with today when it comes to stems. For the ribbon we're going to be using, we have this beautiful 4-inch blue and white, very kind of traditional coloring. So we we'll be working with that. And then this is the sorry guys, this is the plaid that we have here. So it is a kind of a tartan. So I'm sorry guys, I got a little cough going right now. Excuse me while I get a little bit of water. I'm going to go off screen. All right, guys, sorry about that. This time of year is horrible for me for my allergies. So as I collect myself, bear with me. This is why things live are always interesting. So you're going to get the real Whitney.
You're sounding great, Whit.
Thanks, Danny. I'm crying. Okay, so what we're going to do when we start our artificial tree building here, and you can do all of these same things with an artificial tree and a real fresh cut tree. Obviously with a fresh cut tree, your branches are, it's natural. So you have a, sorry guys, goodness. With a fresh tree, your branches aren't as rigid. So you kind of have to work with the weight of your ornaments a little bit. So all of these guys are about the same, just graduated up. But we are, we're going to work with this guy. So what I'm going to do first is kind of work with my ribbon. So I kind of like to start with my most focal point. So I kind of like to do eye level. So I'm going to start here and kind of work my way down. So I will start by making a bow. Sorry guys, I'm having a hard time over here. Okay, so I have my ribbon here. I'm going to start with my thinner ribbon. I'm going to stack them on top of one another. So I like, for this look, I'm going to cut a little V in my ribbon like that, if you can see that. And I'm gonna start off with my tail. For my first bow, I'm gonna make it a little bit on the bigger side. I'm just gonna drop my bow right there. And I think I'm gonna probably do a little bit of a longer tail. So I'm gonna start there. I kind of do a little, kind of pinch it together, make a little loop like that, pinch it together again in the back and twist. For a better view and detail on how to make a bow, we did do a Merrifield bow video, and you'll be able to watch me make a bow all the way through and watch my hand movements really closely. So I think that's going to be accessible for you guys here shortly, probably after the fact, so you can watch it on like YouTube or something like that. I'm not sure how to have it. So I made this little tiny bow, just 2 loops, 2 tails, and then I'm going to add my 4-inch here. Okay. And I'm going to start my tail with it as well. I'm just going to stack it onto the back. So I'm going to make my tail just a little longer than that first tail, kind of accordion style, pinch it in the back, and then make another loop like that. So oftentimes when people think bow, they think, 2 loops, 2 tails, very tailored, very, normal shoestring style. And then, what's that? Oh, thank you. Danny came in to save me. So you think, shoestring style, that type of thing, but oftentimes at Merrifield, we'll make bows that are just a series of a couple loops, tails cut short, that kind of thing. And we really tuck them into the tree. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. And the concept that I'm doing can be built on. You can add ribbon, you can do 2, you can do 1 like it, you can do 5. So there's so many different ways you can do it. So I'm going to grab my trusty little, see if you can see it. It's a wrapped floral wire. We use these things all the time for everything, but they're great for helping you tie bows. You just slip it under your thumb there and then wrap it around to the back, and then you pull. And then you twist it real good on the back. So I have my first bow here. All righty. So what I'm going to do, as you can see here, I kind of tucked it in over here. I have like a big flowy tail, and it drops down on the other side. So we're going to do the same type of thing, and it's going to go about right here. So when working with your tree, whether it be live or artificial, don't be afraid to kind of really tuck stuff in there. And so you wrap your wire around that branch, take it on the bottom side and twist it. Okay, so you get one tail kind of draping down the one side. And then your loop, your big loop. And what this does is it helps create depth. It draws your eye in, especially when you see kind of the point go into the center of the bow. And then you have your tail here. And for sake of time, I pre-made a few bows just like this, just so I could put them on the tree, but I wanted to make a couple just to show you guys. So let's see. All right. Supplies you need when you're starting your tree, and I should have mentioned this earlier, you need a good pair of really sharp scissors. There's nothing worse than trying to cut this beautiful, expensive ribbon and shredding it with really terrible scissors that won't cut it. So I do my little angle cut there, and you open it up and you have a nice little V cut. There's several ways you can do this. I like to fold my ribbon in half lengthwise and cut up or down, depending on the direction your ribbon's going. But you want to cut towards the center of your ribbon. So when you open it up, you have this nice V cut. And then I'll do the same on the other side. Step out of screen. Alrighty. All right, you can see my hands working. Okay. Same over there, and then I'll cut my red just a slightly shorter. Scissors down. Okay, so you can see the start. So I like to start with my ribbon first, and sometimes I'll kind of intermix my stems as I go with it for placement. Since I kind of know where I'm going with my bows and my ribbon, I'm gonna kind of graduate and do the next one. But when you have your tails, just kind of work them in and make it feel organic. Like it doesn't have to be, you wouldn't want it to be straight down like that. It looks pretty, but when you can tuck some of it in and have it kind of flow around the tree, that becomes more interesting to the naked eye. When you're looking at the tree, it makes you want to look in the interior of the tree as well. So I'm gonna do our next one. I'll make one more for you guys, and then we'll use the ones I pre-made. So yeah, you need a good pair of scissors. Wire cutters are always helpful. You never know when you have to cut wire, and especially little floral wire. So you need these guys too. And of course, ornament hooks. Okay, so I'm going to pre-cut my little end since I know what I'm doing with it. Okay, and I'll do that with this guy too. Alrighty. So my next little cluster of ribbon is going to come down to about right here. So on this tree, you know, on a much larger tree, you'd almost do the same distance. You could go closer, but since this ribbon is so wide and it takes up enough space, you can go graduate down. You basically want to create some little triangles all over the tree. You know, you want things to kind of be in threes and then be evenly spaced out. So you'll see that as I go through the tree. Since I know this next one's going to be towards the bottom of the tree, I am going to make the tails slightly shorter because I don't want them like hanging off and dragging on the ground. You would do your bows, you know, pretty proportionate to where on the tree. This is a nice, you know, visual spot where you know your eye's going to catch. So sometimes I'll do something more prominent there, and you know, just as big but shorter tails on the bottom. So I'm going to do
a quick question, real quick, since you're doing the bows there. A couple people are asking about the gauge of the floral wire. Do you know what that one is?
I actually have two different ones here. I think one might be a 20, and then the other one might be a 22 gauge. I like, for things like wrapping around the branches, I want to have a little bit of, I want it to be a little easier to bend, but not too easy. You don't want spaghetti. But if I'm doing a big bow, see if I can find a nice thick one. This is the thicker one. If you can see, it's a lot harder for me to bend. Those are great if I'm working with something that has a lot of weight, or it's a huge bow that really needs to have a nice tight center. That's when I'll use like a thicker gauge. That's a very good question. And everybody has their own preference. I like kind of middle of the road. Some people love the really thick ones, and other people love the little skinny guys. I think it's just, you find what works for you. So, but yeah, great question. Great question. So yeah, did 2 loops again on this guy, shorter tail, and then I'll just do 1 loop of the 4-inch. Now, if you have a big 9-foot tree, you could do 2 or 3 loops of this big wide stuff, because your tree can probably handle it. Because we're working on a smaller tree, you don't want to overdo it, because then it might just look a little silly. But yeah, thankfully, we found these awesome 4.5-foot trees that are on the chunky side. So it kind of gives you a good idea of like a regular Christmas tree size versus something that's really skinny. But these same principles I'm showing you guys, you can do on any size tree. You would just maybe want to scale down the size of your ribbon. So, all right, here's my next one. I'm going to stick it right down in here. And you see where the tip of my stem is? I am going to bring this down pretty deep on the branch so that it's going to draw your eye in. And I just pull apart my little layers. Get my tails right. I always love to kind of straighten my tail out, use those wires, and just create a little movement with it. And this one, I'll probably make it the tail a lot shorter.
That red ribbon that you have there, how wide is that? Customer would like to know.
1.5 inch wide. 1.5 inch wide. The typical widths of ribbon that you're going to find are 4 inch, 2.5 inch, and then 1.5 inch. But there are other widths. There's 2 inch, there's 1 inch, there's 1/2 inch. But those are the most common sizes. So that's what we tend to work with the most. Do my little V cut here. Okay. So the next ones I already made for you guys. So I'm just going to kind of pop them on the tree and you'll kind of see where we're headed with it. And when decorating a tree, it's okay to move things around. If you see it and you're like, ooh, that doesn't look right, take it out and try it again. Sometimes the best way to know exactly what you're doing is to try it a couple times. So just going to tighten this guy up real quick. All right, this one, I actually simplified it just a little bit. I only did 1 loop of the red. That's the only difference. So 2 tails still of either color and 1 loop of each. So you see, that's technically a bow, but it's really just loops and tails. But when put into the tree, it really can make a big visual impact. So get around here. All right, so our next one is going to go. I'm going to have to do it right down there. Okay, so again, I'm going to put it deep down in there, twist it on the back, get the tails going, make a nice little plume. Now, there are hundreds, thousands even, different styles of decorating a Christmas tree. This is just one of them. But we tend to do this style often, but with variations and twists, and we'll like wrap the tree and put bows as you wrap. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do this, but this is how I like to do it. And it's for someone who's a beginner, it's a lot easier this way because you have separate pieces. You're not worried about tying this one tail into the next one. So this is a great beginner's kind of idea of how you can do things. So we have this guy right here again. We're going to put him between here and here. So it's going to be between here and here this way, but also there's several planes of the tree, but also it's going to be back. I don't want it like right here. I want it probably over here. So see if we can see. Yeah. So I'm going to tuck that guy in there. Okay. Getting my tails going. And have fun with it. Okay, I have another one. This guy I made just like the ones I showed you with the 2 red loops. I'm going to stick him towards the top of the tree. He's going to be kind of a little bit of a tree topper. When I do a topper bow, I like to kind of stick it at the base of the top of the tree, not on the tip top. There's a lot of different ways you can top your tree, and I'm going to do kind of a combo way. As you can see, I have a mixture of stems, ribbon. I have a bird up here. I don't know if you can see him. But there's so many fun things you can do at the top of your tree. So I'm gonna stick this guy up here. All right. And your wire cutters will come in handy if your wire from your floral wire is like too big and long and awkward. You can always trim it off. So, or wire cutters come in handy when you are working with some really long stems that just are in the way and your tree's too small for them. Don't be afraid to chop stuff up. Okay, so there we go. We have a good enough here. So what I'm going to do next is I grabbed 3 of these beautiful, huge lime green hydrangeas. They're really just to help fill holes, kind of bring some light into the tree. So I'm going to just really stuff them in there. This is a great example of one you might want to chop eventually. But for the sake of today, we're going to keep them long. So let's see. I'm going to do one probably right about in here. So you just kind of weave your stem through to the other side. Okay, see how you can see that guy deep down in there. All right, and the next one. Going to be up here. Like I mentioned before, you want to kind of create little triangles all around. You can see him a little bit. So 1, 2, and then my next one needs to be kind of up in the top. So up in the top, but further back. So you want triangles visually on like a flatter plane, but then you want to make it more 3D. See if you can see that a little bit. So they're all stuffed in, but they're kind of all over. But one's further back, and that one on the other side is a little further back than this one is, because you have a tree that's on a center axis. So you want to build around it. If I were to fully decorate this tree all the way around, I would need at least 2 more, because I need to kind of stuff one down here and then down there. And so for one side, or like this is probably about 70% of the tree I'm decorating fully. You'll need 3 if you're doing 100%. I'd say 2 more. So we got that, and then your next one we're gonna do is your rose bouquet, and then your berry. So I stuck the berry amongst the roses and just kind of fluffed it up a little bit. So where I'm gonna put that, I'm gonna put one right here, and this you kind of stuff down in there as well. But I also like to pull some of the flowers around the stem. So this is kind of going underneath the stem a little bit of my tree. So it kind of creates a little more interest. It's really on there pretty good. So, all right, so we got a few more of those to do. All these wonderful berries. While I'm doing this, Danny, are there any questions that I might be able to answer?
Forgot that I was muted. No question right now, because we kind of answered those couple questions on the fly there.
Good.
So so we are good currently. But if anybody has any questions about the decorating process or anything that you want me to pass on to Whitney, please put in our Q&A box.
All right, sounds good. Okay, see how I kind of weave those two together? I just love these little rose bouquets. They just look so pretty. Okay, so we have one there. Our next one is going to kind of come around the back side towards the bottom. If you can kind of see that. Even if you are decorating a tree that you know you're only going to see, say you stuck your tree in the corner, and you're only gonna see this one side, you still gotta put some stuff on the back. You still gotta sink things in deep in the back, because what you see in the front, your eye carries through the tree, and otherwise it's just gonna look kind of blank and boring. You gotta create some depth. So even if you don't see your tree at all from the back, still put some stuff back there. Not as much, but some. It makes a big difference with how magical your Christmas tree is. So the thing I love about Christmas trees is not only the magic of a Christmas tree, but also how it's such just a little representation of who you are. You know, your tree at home is a mixture of gifts from loved ones, things that you just like looking at, like it's your style. It's a great way to express yourself. So I think it's such a fun thing, and it's exciting. And, you know, when doing something like this and wanting to do a fresh look, it's most important for you to like it. Obviously you want other people to like it, and you want to show it off and all that good stuff. But if you're not happy with it, then keep at it. You know, it's got to be something that you like. So that's why I always say, it's you. You got to have fun with it, right? So our next guy is going to come around. Let's see, he's probably sorry, guys. I'll come back to you. He's going to come down. Now remember, I have another bright stem coming, so I'm trying to create a good triangle with the stems that I'm working with, but then I'm going to fill in some extra holes with the other one. So we already have 3. So typically you want to do things in odd numbers. We're probably going to do maybe 5 of these clusters on this tree. If I were to fully decorate the back, I would probably go for 6 or 7, but I'm, you know, like I said, I'm still kind of half decorating the back of the tree. All right, I'm gonna twist it up. Hopefully you guys can kind of see what I'm doing, but so I have 1, 2, and then 3. So my next one, I'm going to bring a little more north. So we're going to kind of work this into the top of the tree a little bit. And I just love seeing that orange color. And I just think it's an interesting take on Christmas, you know. But if you are familiar with the Williamsburg style, they do use a lot of orange in there. And so not always, but, you know, they'll have I think it's like clover orange, like they have orange with little cloves stuck in it, you know, random things, and it's just so pretty, so rich in color. So we got 4 in there now, and then I'm going to do 1 kind of on the back side, just for good measure. And when you get your picks, your artificial picks, always kind of fluff them out and make sure you get them how you want them, because they look so much better when you kind of tweak them a little bit. Makes a big difference. And you can also, if you wanted, you could also kind of do some of this with real flowers, real berries, but just know that they will dry out, they will wilt. But if you're going for a really natural look, you can totally do that. I think it's kind of fun to mix things up. Let's see. I think I'm going to go like straight in the middle and the back. Okay. Some people will like use real fresh cut greens from their garden, or that they'll get. Magnolias do well. They will dry out, but they'll kind of keep their look. They're not going to like wilt too much. So if you wanted that look, you could tuck some fresh magnolia in. We also have awesome artificial magnolia leaves and flowers that we get in, and they just look so real. You could always do that as well. Evergreens last a pretty good long time indoors as well, out of water, but you know, after a couple weeks they're going to start looking a little tired. So I think it's a matter of whether you have like a special event, or you want it long term. If it's for the whole Christmas season, I think artificial is the way to go. Plus you can use it year after year. So let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 in here right now. I could go for a 6. I think we're okay for right now. I have one just in case we need it at the end. I do like to do that when decorating, is to kind of leave an extra one in case I need to fill in some holes at the end, or like there's a weird color thing going on and I got to fill it. So I'll keep reserves on deck basically. So now I'm going to add in my pick. It's my orange and orange slice pick with berries and evergreens. And then my tulip. So how I did that was I kind of stacked my tulip behind it. See what that did? And then kind of just splayed it apart a little bit. Pulled some throughout the evergreen. Just made it a little bit more interesting. So you have this beautiful little bouquet of color. So this is going to get tucked in kind of amongst all of my other stuff. So I have my little triangles around, but I'm also going to try to create triangles between the two types. So this guy, I think, has to probably come down here. So he's going to try to marry up with our hydrangea. Oftentimes we will tie in our artificial little clusters with the ribbon itself. I like to do that a lot, but I also like to do a little bit of both. So this is just creating this really full tree. You remember the tree when it was completely empty compared to this one? It was the same exact tree, and this one looked like probably a lot bigger, even though it's further back in the room and up on a table. But yeah, it's just interesting. Once you fill the tree up, it really can look so much bigger and more grand and everything. So we're going to keep going with these picks. I'm going to do at least 3. And then if I were to decorate fully the back, I'd probably go for 5. So if you were to have a 6-foot tree, you could either space things further apart and have more room for more ornaments, and use the same number, or you would need to up the amount. So for a 4.5-foot tree, and say we used 6 of these to decorate all the way around, for a 6-foot tree, you might need 9. Or, if you're doing a 9-foot tree, you might need 12 to 15 of these little clusters. It just depends on the fullness of the tree that you're looking for, how rich you want the tree to look, how much color, and how many ornaments you have. If you're young and you're just starting out and you don't have a whole lot of ornaments, an easy way to really fill your tree up is by going heavy on the ribbon, or by really stuffing in stems and flowers like I'm doing here today, because you don't need quite as many ornaments to get the look. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it. You could use the same amount of stuff on a 7.5-foot tree and just carry a longer tail down, and that would help fill some space as well. So maybe wrapping the tree and tying in with these bows will help fill that bigger tree, and then just have a little handful more of each thing, and then I think you probably have it pretty well covered. So I'm just going to keep going. Are there any questions, Danny?
Yes, we do have a question. It is about the flowers that you're using, and whether you could put essential oil on the flowers.
Oh, it's a great idea. Yeah, if you're doing an artificial tree, the biggest thing that you miss is the scent of a tree. So we have a few different things. We've gotten these little scent cone things that you can hang in your tree that smells like a tree. We have this great scent called Fraser Fir. I know there's little oils you might be able to dab on something. It's also a car freshener. Why not? Hang a car freshener in there that smells like a tree. But yeah, you could definitely do that. For instance, if you love the smell of a rose and you have artificial roses in your tree, definitely spray it with some perfume or essential oil, you know, whatever you like. There's, you know, the orange smell in an essential oil. You could certainly put that on something. You know, part of Christmas is the smell of cookies, the smell of the tree, cinnamon. It's all the senses are involved. So if you're working only with artificials and you miss that, then definitely go for it. Yeah. Good question. I love it. I think the only thing to worry about is if it could damage some of the stuff, the oils. So just maybe read the vial and see if it's skin safe. It's probably fine to put on like a plastic or a silk or something like that. Just use a little bit. Be careful, I guess. So let's see, where's this next guy going? Sorry, guys. Okay, so he's there. So this guy needs to probably go about right here. Yeah, okay.
Whitney, another one of our attendees is wondering, how are the flowers wrapped together on the tree? I
am literally just weaving them in amongst the artificial branches. So if you've ever worked with an artificial tree, all the branches have wire and you can kind of fluff them and bend them and stuff. Right now, I'm just kind of pushing it in amongst the branches, and it's holding really well. But if your tree's a little different, you could certainly use floral wire. You could use pipe cleaners, you know. But if you have an artificial tree too, because the stems are wired, you could just wrap a stem around it and kind of pinch the wire and it'll help hold it in place. With a fresh tree, it depends on how dense the tree is. Sometimes you can just stick it in there and it'll stay in place. If it's not, definitely, you know, wire it in. Just use a little bit of floral wire or pipe cleaner, or, you know, twist tie off a bag of bread or something, whatever you got. But yeah, that'll help hold it in place. So, but right now I'm just kind of pushing it in there and they're holding up really good. So let's see. Any other questions?
That is currently all the questions we have right now.
All right, don't be shy, guys. I know there's a lot going on, and I'll probably get to them eventually, but but yeah, I love questions. So they help me too. Helps me not forget everything I want to say. Okay, see, just kind of working in together. So I have 1, 2, and then I'm going to go high on the top. I'm going to use this kind of as my topper. Let's see. 1, 2. I might do it opposite of the other one. So I'm going to go behind my bow. It's hard to tell when you're you have to tweak it. And oftentimes here we go, you can see it a little better now. Okay, let me redo that. I'm gonna do like a kind of a slotty topper on this guy. I just feel like it fits the tree. But oftentimes you can add something that's got a little bit more height to it at the top of your tree and really do up your tree big. Pulling some of my flowers forward, my little orange so you can see it. My berries. When you put things in there, you want to make sure you're going to see them real good. Okay, we got that guy. So let me back up out of the screen and take a better look at my tree. Oh, it looks so cute already. Okay, we're getting there, guys. Another thing I just wanted to show you guys, if I were to run out of my tulips, I happen to find these at our store, and we actually have it in our garden tree. It's the same exact tulip, but instead of in a cut flower bunch, it's in a little cute pot. And so don't be afraid to think out of the box and put stuff like this in the tree. You know, I could literally just set it in there. and it would be adorable. And so think out of the box, kind of get a little crazy, and you never know what might really be super fun. So I grabbed a couple of those in case I really wanted to use them. As an example, show the top of the tree, and we kind of do the top of the tree after the rest of it's done. I'm not going to put these in there, but this is a good example of something that is a little bit more lateral, gives you some height, would be if I were to stick something like this down in the tree. And I would do probably 3 at least, especially on this small tree. I would probably only do 3. If I were doing a big 9-foot tree, I probably have 3 in the top and then a couple more throughout the tree just to tie it together. But this was just to kind of give you a visual of something else you could do. So I'm just going to keep that back there for right now. I do have another bow just in case if I need it. So let me take a look if I need any more ribbon anywhere. Otherwise, I think I'm going to just put this guy on the back side. Find a good spot. Because I have one here and here, I'm going to go in the middle of those 2 and further back on the tree. So that if this were to be decorated all the way around, you kind of have your little triangle. Okay. You can kind of see me. Feels right. Okay. All right, so we have 3 of those guys in there. I think we're looking pretty good. So now we're going to move to ornaments. I have a selection of ornaments, all of which go with the theme. So what I like to do first is get my largest ornaments on there. Typically with the largest like ball ornaments, you really want to sink them in, and you know, it helps create depth. It fills those big holes that you might have, especially if you have a real tree. You often will have these big natural holes that, like, well, what do? We'll get a big, beautiful, reflective ball and stick it in there. This guy isn't super reflective, but look how beautiful that is. So cool. So I have like a big kind of vacant space right in here. So I'm gonna tuck it in. I also have an ornament hook. So especially with these big guys, if you hang it from this, it ends up landing on a branch and being weird. If you have your hook, you can hang it up closer to the branch so it actually hangs and dangles. And that's what you want. You want your ornaments to truly hang versus resting on branches too much. So turn that guy around. Also, you know, sometimes your ornaments have a front and a back, and you want your ornament the pretty side out. So sometimes you gotta tweak it a little bit. And that's on it. Okay, so I grabbed 3 of those large ones, and if you were to decorate the whole tree around on this 4.5 foot, you'd probably need about 5. So, but I have lots of other ones to do as well that'll help fill in the holes, but typically you want to work in odd numbers. So 3, 5, 7, 9, it all kind of depends. All right. I have some ornament hooks over here. They're very, very helpful. So, and you want to kind of constantly create little triangles. So my next one's going to be up a little further on the tree and kind of around the side. So got that guy. This guy. So my next one needs to kind of go up on the other side, but maybe a little higher. Okay. When I decorate my brush tree at home, I put the lights on first, and sometimes I'll actually wait a day or 2 before I start like my ribbon and my stems. And the reason is your branches fall, and sometimes before I even do my ribbon, I'll see where I have holes where the branches I know could like come and fill, and any large ornaments that might be a little heavier, I'll actually put those in first and they'll help weigh down certain branches. Otherwise, if you do your ribbon first and then put the heavy stuff on, your branch is in a different location than it was before, and then your ribbon looks off. So there's these little tips and tricks that help to make it a little easier. Next, I'm going to work with some kind of like a matte red ball. This one has this beautiful kind of like holly. They're kind of teal, but I thought that looked so good with like the oranges and everything. And then this one just has a little mistletoe. So very sweet, very kind of traditional stuff. And I just thought it looked so pretty. So you always want to evenly distribute these guys around. And don't forget like the sides of your tree, the back of your tree, helps it all look right. Let's see. All right, got one there. One tucked back in here. And some of them you're going to sink in real good, and other ones you're going to have let kind of be out a little further. Tucked a couple of these guys underneath. 1, 2. Put this guy right here. He's kind of in the middle between like tucked in and further out on the ends. I like to kind of stuff the tree first, and then as you go, you put your lighter, more delicate things on the tips of your branches. If you stick too many of the big guys, then they fall and it doesn't look right. So you kind of want visual weight to work through the tree. So heavy, big things stuffed in a little bit more, and then lighter things kind of graduate out the tree a little bit. So this guy, he's gonna go right here. Got 2 more of the big red mistletoe ones. So I'm gonna make sure I have them here. Probably do a smaller guy. The other thing to think about is how wide your tree is. And as it goes up the tree, it gets thinner. So you typically wouldn't put like a huge ball at the top. You can, but you'd really want to sink it in pretty good. I'm going to probably put like a medium sized ball in there. These are probably 4-inch ones, something like that. The other important thing to not forget is to kind of break the line of your tree. You know, you don't want it to be a hard stop. You want to drop some ornaments below so it kind of does this rather than a straight line. Just softens it up, makes it look a little more interesting. And this guy's going to go in the back of the tree. Okay. Let's see what we got next. I have these really cool, kind of like a plaid. It's a brighter green. It's kind of got like a little speckled look, and then like gold and a different color green kind of thing going on. I thought that looked really good with some of the evergreens mixed in there. It looks good with the lime. It helps kind of pull everything together. So some of these guys, I'm going to just use their string so that they can just drop. And then some of them, depending on where I'm putting them, I'm going to use a ornament hook. So it just kind of depends on the look you're going for. If you want them to really hang and fill a hole. This tree's nice because there's space, and so you can kind of get a little creative with it. You know, and once again, you always want to think about, oh, see how that's kind of laying funky? I need a hook on that guy. Any questions, Danny?
Yes, we have some questions. And most of these are dealing with ornaments or decorations. So with the ornaments that you're doing, as you go higher up the tree, does the size of the ornament need to be larger or smaller or the same? What are your suggestions for how you put ornaments on trees as you go from top to bottom or bottom to top?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned that a little bit, but I can go a little more in depth. Like here's a larger one that's like a 4-inch ball, and this is probably a 2.5 to 3 inch. So this big guy up here, it's not terrible, but the littler one would look better. So if you have a really skinny tree and you stuck a big, huge one up there, it's going to look a little odd. So generally, I like to try and have my heavier, bigger things tucked in the tree and further down and up to the middle, and then having some of your smaller stuff up top. But if you have a couple of the big guys up there and it looks good, then that's totally fine. You don't want there to be like hard lines of like all the big balls stop here. You want them all to be kind of intertwined, but graduated, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Another question about ornaments is one of our attendees was wondering, they have a 9.5-foot tree. How many ornaments would you suggest they have on that tree?
That greatly depends on how fat the tree is and how full they want it to look. If they have a really kind of sparse tree that's got lots of holes on it and it's on the thin side, I mean, you're gonna need a lot of ornaments. I mean, if you've ever walked through any of our stores, you'll see there's hundreds of ornaments on these trees, but they're chock full most of the time. So what I would do first is like to create a look, get a couple boxes of colors that you like. Like I have some of these bright blue guys to go with our blue ribbon. This is a box of 8. I would get a few of these and really like fill up the tree, get some colors going that you want in the tree, and fill it up with some just plain ball that fills it up. And then so maybe with a 9-foot tree, this is a box of 8, maybe do 16 to start and see how 16 of one color and 16 of another, and then start collecting some things in between that you like. So I mean, gosh, for a 9-foot tree, yeah, I would get some big things. The first ball I put on the tree is probably a 6-inch ball. You definitely need a good handful of some of those. So I would say with a 6-inch ball, you could use every bit of 9 of those. And let's just say 16 of one color, 16 of another color of this like 2.5-inch ball. And then, just have fun collecting other ornaments that are interesting to you that you really like. I would start with 3s to be safe, but if you really, really like them, you should get more, because if you like them, you want to look at it more. So you want to see it more on your tree. So yeah, I'd say like 12, 16. So that's 32. Yeah, that's a tough question. It depends on how dense you want your tree to be. But if you start off slow and kind of work with that, and then, get 5 of this ornament and 5 of that ornament and 10 of this one, over the years, you're going to build this amazing tree. And you can just kind of have fun with it. But I'd say don't be afraid to stuff that guy with 100+ ornaments. But, it just depends on what you can get and what your budget looks like and everything. But I think investing in some boxes of just one color is really a great way to start. It'll really help create some uniformity in your tree, get a theme going that you can build off of. So I hope that answers your question.
And we got one more question currently, and this has to do with the decorations, and what should this person do with those decorations when it's time to take the tree down?
Well, with your ornaments, I think it's great to have some like boxes and little pieces of paper. And if you can get boxes that have like a little grid in it, so each ornament has its little hole, I would definitely safely wrap up anything breakable. I think that is important. You know, you spend a lot of money on these beautiful ornaments and you want to keep them beautiful throughout the years. For the stems, I would take them out and have like with like. So I would, you know, take that out and have all my tulips together, all of my orange and evergreen ones together, all my roses together. And to store it, I'd probably put it in like a bin, you know, one of those tote bins that has a top that you can kind of seal shut. If you don't have those, you can always use nice big paper bags and hang them up. For your ribbon, for your bows, a lot of ribbon is much more forgiving than you'd think. And so, you know, you obviously don't want to crush them up, but you can either flatten your loops out a little bit and just kind of create a little flat loop and lay them very gently on top of one another, and either put them in a box or put them in a bag and just reflect them each year. I think if you're really gentle with them and you store them in a nice way, you can really make all of your supplies last a really long time. But yeah, some people, they'll leave if it's a tiny tree like this and they have great storage, they just pick it up and set it down and put a big bag over it or a sheet. But if, you know, I have a smaller home, so I got to really pack things up strategically so that I can store it safely the rest of the year. So I really like take it down, put like with like, store everything in nice totes and have them on shelves. So that helps a lot. So hopefully that answers that question. Okay, I'm gonna actually put this on the table here. I have a green. This one's another missile. It's like the green version of that red one I put on the tree. So I'm going to put some of these on there. As a little tip, I really like to, when I mentioned like getting a box ball that is a color that you like, kind of create a theme. Like I like to get colors that I know I'm going to like, even if I want to change my ribbon, that'll kind of go with everything. So I might do like a shimmery gold or like a pearlescent white or a silver, something reflective that I know is going to work with a lot of different styles in case I want to change my tree up from year to year. I'll have some really good foundation ornaments that are going to work no matter what as filler. So having things that are, you know, iridescent or reflective makes a big difference. Another thing is picking a tree, an artificial tree that's well lit. And if it doesn't have enough lights for you, not being afraid to add lights. I get like a 7.5 to 8 foot Christmas tree, a fresh cut one. And I put like 1,000 to 1,200 lights on that guy. And it's so bright. It's beautiful. I love it. And it just makes all the ornaments pop when it's a well-lit tree. It doesn't, you don't have any dark holes anywhere that are going to bother you. So keep adding these guys. Any other questions, Danny?
No current questions at this time.
Okay. Cool. Is it looking okay? Can you see it good, Danny?
Yes, it is looking great. I see some attendees are raising their hands. I won't be able to call you on if you're raising your hands, but if you just type your questions in the Q&A box. One person in the chat was asking, what's the best way to the spinners?
To the what? Say that again.
To the spinners.
The spinners.
Yeah.
Like an ornament that spins? Is that what they're asking about?
I'm not sure. If the person that asked that can elaborate on that, we can get that question answered.
Yeah, that'd be great. Because I'm not sure. But while hopefully they heard that, you know, to go along with this theme, I also grabbed some ornaments that kind of, you know, this is an apple. See? but it's an ornament and it's beautiful and it's blown glass, and just, you know, fun little things like that that you can add that go with your theme. And I also have these beautiful little peaches. So the peach brings out the orange that's in the orange stem, the orange and evergreen. It brings out the orange and the rose. So having ornaments that tie your stems into the rest of the tree makes a big difference. So I'm actually going to put a lot of these peaches on that tree, just to kind of meld everything together really good. And I'm going to use my little ornament hooks. I'm going to remember to break the plane of my tree, and I need to get some on this guy. Let's see what we got. Another ornament I picked, which is not going to be like your typical color, is this really cool deep brush teal. We've noticed this year that the teals have been super popular. Teal and aqua have been really popular colors this year. And I thought this color looked so beautiful with the oranges and the other colors on the tree. So I went for it and I like it. So I stuck that mediums, like a 2.5 inch ball kind of in the top. So I'm just going to keep adding. So if there's any questions, Danny, go for it. Let's see. It's okay. I dropped it, but it's fine. And if you have, like, I probably grabbed 7 of these peach guys. I am gonna put them kind of all over the tree and try to evenly disperse them. You don't want to cover up some of your focal points, the places that your eyes go into the tree. So like where this bow is, I don't want to totally cover it up. I want you to be able to look in at it. So.
And just to let people know, we are now, past the hour mark, but we're going to continue going. If you guys have to go, because I know a lot of people are watching this on their lunch breaks, and you want to watch the rest of it later, we will be sending out a recording of this, or you can also send an email to Sally at esperos@mgcmail.com, or you can reach out to me through the contact us form on our website, which is www.merrifieldgardencenter.com.
Okay, and I'm almost done, guys, so hold tight. Basically, I'm just going to keep adding things to this tree, but in a second, I'm going to show you guys some other looks just to kind of get the creative juices going and see how you can combine a few things together. Another thing, this is my last little cutie for this tree, are these little cute little urns, but look how they kind of mimic what's in the ribbon. So I'm going to kind of hang these guys on the tips a little bit around the tree. And you're going to try to intersperse them and everything to be evenly dispersed if you can help it. Okay. And for the tips, a lot of the tips of the trees, I'm gonna, I like to have things that really drop into the space. So I would also incorporate some, not icicles, but things that we kind of call them drops around here, but it's like icicle shaped, but it just, something that drops into a space and kind of creates a little bit of length to the tree, and it just makes it interesting looking. So yeah, and I could keep adding. You'd be surprised how many tips are on these little trees, but in general, this is the look that we're going for. And like I said before, you can add stems, you can add feathers, you could add all sorts of things to the top of the tree to make it a little bit more prominent and taller. Don't be afraid to get like a little funky with it. I've stuck whole big lanterns into trees. I've stuck birds and owls and like some bigger things, and really rested it in there. And it makes it just interesting and fun and out of the box, you know. We like to keep switching it up and really get people's creativity going. So this is just a quick tutorial of how we like to decorate some trees. But like I said, there's so many different ways you can do it, and you know, just have fun with it, experiment, and just have a good time. So for now, since we're trying to finish up, I'm going to show you guys 3 different looks that I just grabbed some brief supplies for, one of each. So just so you can kind of see a color palette, like a little creative board for your basket, if you will. So I don't know how well you can see this. Kind of created little bows. This is similar to what I did on the tree. It's just a series of loops and tails. And then I actually wired it to these 2 branches. This is a little rose, and this is like a little blueberry. But look how cool that looks. So a deep blue, this is kind of a deep blue purple berry. And look how your eye would go in. So this is a good example of if you were to just tuck this into the tree, this whole thing, you can just wire it to a tree branch and you have this beautiful combo. And you would just do the same thing over and over again throughout the tree, spaced out like we had discussed with the other ones. As some color palette things to pair it with, you could use this deep kind of maroon wine color, would look really pretty. I have a smaller version, something like this would be good for the top of the tree. You know, it's like a smaller ball. Something a little bit more modern but lighter, brings, you know, it's like a whitewashed gold ball that's knobby. It's really kind of cool. This guy, he's so cute. I love it. It's a little heart, but it's like a little pillow, but it's got all of these beads all over it. But the bead color mimics a lot of the colors that are in the ribbon. So putting together things that kind of meld the whole look together. So blue ball, that kind of stuff. So I have more in this basket, but overall, it's just kind of creating a look for you. I got 2 more looks. This one is so cute. So this is for like a really whimsical, maybe kids tree even. I have this cute little elf ribbon. It's 1.5 inch paired with this really cute plaid and just like a sparkly white. Same type of thing, you know, just a series of loops put together and tails. And then I tied it to this fun little kind of puffball branch. But when putting it on your tree, you could pair it with something like this guy, a cute elf. How cute is that? So like this would be great for a little kid's tree. Let's see if I can hold on to this guy. Some ornaments that would be good. This is kind of a cute little green aqua color, very old school vintage look. This little guy, he's cool. I have a little gift. This is so sweet. Perfect colors that matches all of the ribbon. Cute little package. And then you wanted to garland your kids' tree. We have some artificial popcorn. You could always make your own at home and string it up yourself. But we also have ones that are already made that'll last you years and years and won't go bad. And animals won't try to eat it. So that's good. But yeah, I have, you know, a couple cute things that would really help make a whimsical kids tree. And then I have one more look for you guys, and then we'll break into any questions you might have left for me, or if I missed something that you wanted to hear, don't feel shy. This is so pretty. I actually have these in my tree at home. So this is it's actually real, like preserved, but it's a lotus pod, and then just like a gold branch. And I did little cluster of ribbons together. So this is like a graduated kind of ombre, aqua and teal look mixed with a cream and another white with a gold backing. So I grabbed all that and I made sure, because I had that ombre aqua, to grab a couple ornaments that went well with it. And then some more neutrals as well. Some gold, some white, some cream. It's kind of a boho look almost. Like I like to add some natural fibers in there too. This one's kind of like a twine and ball. This is a wood little snowflake. You can see that. You see how that, it's just, it would look really cool on a tree. Very natural, but still glitzy and fun. And then always, you gotta have a little bit of shimmer. So this is kind of a gold speckle ball. So that is it for our 3 extra looks. Is there anything I missed or anything you all would like to hear anything more about? I'm happy to answer any more questions.
All right. Yes, we have a couple questions. First one is, how do you decorate underneath the tree if you don't wrap presents out until Christmas?
Okay. A tree skirt is a great way to do it. If you can't find a tree skirt that you like, but you found a tablecloth or a runner or something that is a fabric that you like or that goes with the other palettes that you have on your tree, you know, as you can see here, you see the stand, and that just doesn't look very cute, right? So I'll just kind of drape it around the tree and kind of billow it out. If it's a tablecloth, or shoot, you can use a curtain if you want, any kind of fabric, just kind of drape it around and billow it. A lot of people will, you know, faux wrap a couple packages and have it just at the base. If you have a lot of space between the bottom of your tree and the floor, you could always stage like a couple Santas or like a reindeer thing. A lot of people will do like a little village underneath the tree. They won't put their gifts under the tree. They'll just have like it staged as a little village. There's so many different ways, but at home I use a really beautiful tree skirt. And but yeah, at our store at Gainesville, and I know our other locations, sometimes if we just have a piece of fabric, we just drape it around there and make it look pretty. So yeah.
All right. So the next group of questions are talking about garland. What stage would you add it? Do you have any advice for how you would use it? And then another person was asking, like, how would you wrap it around the tree so it would look more natural?
Okay. Garland, I typically like to do that towards the end. It might not be the very last thing that I do, but it's one of the last things. Of course, I only brought one garland with me, so I'll show you with our little our popcorn garland, just so you can get the feel for it. Many different ways to do it, but one way is just to kind of drape it around the tree. But I like to kind of let it graduate around. So stick it on the tips more so. And then I might not go all on the same level. I might kind of do it down like that. So I'll kind of go down here. See how it kind of drapes, and then work it around to my next level. Well, kind of just depends on how your tree is constructed. Some people will garland and have it be perfect all the way around and even. And some people will just put like one over here and one over there. And it's just more interesting that way. Another way we've done it before, and it depends on the type of garland that you have. You know, sometimes we'll just kind of pick a branch and wrap it loosely around a couple times, and then kind of have it drape up here and then drape over here. And, you know, so you have like a little cluster of color, and it's really loose and kind of organic looking. So it's just kind of play with it. If you know yourself and you know your personality, Garland's one of those things that can kind of show you who you are. If you're someone that really likes order and symmetry and things to be perfect, then you should go with, you know, you have your level of your tree, and you should go with the even droops, kind of a scallop look, and do it on a couple levels. If you're someone that's really kind of organic and you like things to just kind of flow, something like this might be a little more interesting to you. But I will say I kind of like a deeper droop. I think it's a little more interesting to the eye. But don't be afraid to try it out, because it is one of the last things that you do. You can kind of, and it works on the tips of the tree. You can take it off and put it back on several different ways and just see what you like. So actually it looks kind of cute on this tree.
It does look very good.
Yeah.
All right, our last question, and I think that'll be it today, is where should our attendees go to have bows made at Merrifield Garden Center?
Yes. We have 3 locations. We have one in Merrifield, one in Fair Oaks, and one in Gainesville. And each location has a ribbon counter. So we have walls of ribbon, beautiful Christmas ribbon, and wonderful people there behind the desk that can make pretty much any type of bow that you're looking for. So if you have an idea of what you want your bow constructed like, just either bring a picture or find one that looks similar enough and pick out ribbon, and we can do it for you. We make bows all the time. And if you're, you know, I mentioned this earlier, if you're interested in trying your own, we do have a video that we did on how to make what we call the Merrifield bow. So, but you would still use the same principles of how you hold the ribbon, how you twist it. You would just change your loops, your sizes, your tails, but it would give you some good foundations on how your hands would work to make something on your own. But we can totally do it for you too. We love it.
All right, well, great. So I think that finishes us up for today. Thank you all, everyone who came and attended. And thank you, Whitney. This was wonderful. Just like it was last year, we had a couple people that have chimed in about seeing your presentation last year. And so they're just great seeing you and your ideas this year as well. So for anybody that wants a recording of this, we will be sending it out if for some reason in the next couple of days, because Sally is the one that usually does these, sends out the recordings. If you don't get it in the next couple of days in your inbox, then send a email to Sally at sburrows@mgcmail.com or to me through the contact us form at merrifieldgardencenter.com. And we can take care of that for you. And if you have any other questions that you'd like to ask, or I can forward on to Whitney as well, or you can always go and see Whitney. She's at our Gainesville location, just making it look beautiful. So Whitney, do you have anything else to add?
I don't think so, other than, you know, just have fun with it, experiment, and, you know, grab things that you're drawn to first. And if you do that, you'll end up creating something that you just love and adore and that you're proud of. So just have a good time with it, and think outside of the box. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's a representation of you. And, you know, we're always here to help. If you have questions and you don't know what goes with this, and you really want to use this and you're not sure how, we are always here to answer questions and show you how you could put something together and come up with a concept for you. So don't be shy. You're not alone. We can totally help you out. Yeah, well, have fun.
All right, folks. Well, thank you guys. Happy holidays, and we hope to see you in our stores soon. Bye, everyone.